It says I am live again. I thought I was always alive, but the computer is telling me I am live. So I guess I am live today. Just kidding. I just had a cup of tea, chai, by the way, which I need at 3 o'clock. So I am ready to go. I'm live and I am ready for the new topic. We have an exciting topic. We have an exciting guest today. And no, we're not going to talk about interest rates. We're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about how the market is doing or the market's going to do. We're going to have some tips for you, how you can improve your living, how you can improve your house, etc. So with that, we're going to talk about staging hacks in your house. What are some of the hacks and to stage your home, whether you're selling your home or not selling your home. So this is not for homeowners who are just selling their home, but it's for anybody who want to improve their lifestyle inside the home. And if you're a buyer thinking about buying a house, you may want to look for staging like this when you go visit homes. So before we go any further, I want to bring out my guest. Let me bring her on stage. Sylvia, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how are you?
Good. My guest is Sylvia Aldridge. She's her company is in Brea. She is an expert stager. I've seen her work. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago? We met at Silver Spur.
Yeah.
And the house that you did was just awesome. Excellent home. So tell us about yourself before we jump into our topic today and your company and what you do.
Sure. Well, our company started in 2014 when we found a demand for staging. And really, it started off as a hobby. I was doing it for a lot of friends and family that were in the real estate industry. And it blossomed into something a lot bigger. I love my job. I love that I get to be passionate in doing something that I truly enjoy. We love helping people and transform their homes. And so it's an extremely rewarding career for myself. And a lot of the time, our sellers often say, our house is so beautiful, I don't want to move anymore.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and you know, funny thing, you mentioned that you started 2014 as a hobby, and you know more about this than I do, but in the last 3, 4, 5 years, I would say 5 years, staging is a must. If I'm a listing agent, which I am, and when I sell a home, I absolutely quote, you cannot tell sellers anything, but we request seller, please do staging. Please, It makes a big difference. In fact, let me give some stats before we get started. I want to give some stats so that our viewers know, and I know we have some live viewers, we'll have more viewers coming in, but also on my channel, a lot of the people that's going to watch this is after the recording because it's 4:30 in California. Some people at work, kids at school, kids at soccer or whatever. So they're going to watch it at night, today, or in the weekend. So it's great information, but I want to share couple of things. I'll share this screen first and talk about it, and then we'll discuss that. So let me share it. And that is, let me see what it is. Home staging. Where is it? Okay, so let me share this screen. By the way, this was a blog that I did. And just to be, I'm no expert in staging. And when I did this blog, I use a third party, use the blog. So these are not my words. But let's talk about the basics and we'll talk about it. So what is home staging? So staging is the process of arranging and decorating your house to highlight its best features and make it as appealing as possible to potential buyers. But of course, keep in mind, this is not just to sell, but you may want to appeal to yourself, have a better lifestyle, better living. I've been here in my house for 25 years and it's time for a change. So maybe I need to call you at my house, Sylvia. Yep. Yeah, it can range from simple touch-ups to more extensive setups depending on your needs and budget. So how does it help sell my house? And of course, this is not about selling your house, but just to gain you some knowledge. It says here that studies show good staging does have an impact on your sale. Staging your house well can help you attract more attention from buyers, which ultimately helps it sell faster and maybe for a higher price than the unstaged home. See the visual. Well, let's see what the visual says. And by the way, can you see the screen on this?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we'll go to these two highlights. It says staged homes sell 73% faster. Wow. And offer prices can go up between 1 to 5%. And this is according to National Association of Realtors. Although it's my blog, I borrowed it from that with my third-party people that helped me write this blog. So let's go back to, let me remove that and then discuss two things. One, what hit you most on those two stats that they give? It sells faster and gives you more price. Is that true?
100%. And we've seen it time and time again. So what matters when you stage your home is pictures online. And we kind of talked about that a little bit, right? Cluttering. And the first impact that you can have for sellers or buyers is just to have it your pictures on the market. So we're willing to do whatever it takes, whether it's moving some furniture out, or we come in and do a consultation and tell you this looks too cluttered, this table's too big. Maybe you have 6 chairs and the area is kind of small. We might recommend for you to take 2 chairs out so that the area seems bigger. But we're doing all of this because we want you to sell your house faster. We want you to get higher offers and just a better online appeal for buyers. So we really highlight the home's potential. And those are a lot of the things we need to do to get the house sold for top dollar.
Right. Hey, Sylvia, is your mic connected? Probably you going in and out a little bit. Is your mic okay, or is it loose or hanging?
I don't think so. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. So you are going in and out. So I just want to make sure it's not falling down or anything. Okay, perfect. Right. Because some people are driving on the phone, and I want to make sure they can hear it. So no, those are good points. So if I want to think about 2 ways of staging. One, let's talk about the first. Hey, I'm going to think about selling, or I'm an owner. I've talked to an agent, and that darn agent wants me to stage the home and wants me to spend money. And I know that could cost anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000.
Right.
You can take us through, if I'm a seller, for example, or a viewer is a seller, can you explain to the seller why it's important for staging? What are some of the steps you would do? Like, I don't know anything about staging. And when I say me, a client has been in the house for 25 years. Yeah. Now he's ready to sell. He hasn't done anything in the house. There's a lot of clutter. Yes. So if you were to go to the house, what are some of the steps? If you can take a step by step, some of the things you would do. Sure. And of course, cost is the most important thing, because I'm a seller. I don't want to spend any money. So kind of just walk us through whatever you know.
So first of all, I know we're going to touch on this a little bit later, but there's 2 types of staging that we do. One's an occupied home where the sellers are still living in the property. And then the other one is a vacant home. If it's vacant, it's kind of like a clean slate. We come in and stage it. That is a little bit more costly because we're bringing in all the furniture. But if it is occupied, we believe in this design philosophy, and we have a pamphlet that we bring on all of our consultations, and it's called the Feel Home Philosophy. So when we go over this, and I'll give you the link to this, we talk about first impressions. We talk about they matter. Within the first 7 seconds that someone is at your house, they have already come up with their first impression of what they think about your house. So right in the door, we need to make those first impressions the best. Right. We need to eliminate clutter. And hey, I'm guilty of that too. I'm a stager, and people are like, does your home look like this? Sometimes not, right? Like we need to eliminate clutter. Right. We want to emphasize the positive while downplaying any of the negative. We want to lighten up the space, obligation to any repairs that we have, modernizing, and just taking away any emotional connections that the sellers have. We want to eliminate all the pictures and different, stuff on the kitchen counter that they might have that's emotional to them. We want to kind of take that out. We also get this pamphlet too, and it talks about the 10 reasons to stage your home. And I won't get into that, but I mean, it really sells the client on staging is a big deal. And in the, you touched on it before, in this economy, in this market, you're leaving money on the table if you're not staging. So
right. And before I forget, Sylvia's company is called stagetosellco.com. And in my description, if you're looking live or if you're watching it later, the link is in the description. So if you have any questions, call her. She knows more about it, and she'll have a link there. And can they get brochures if they send you an email? Can you send it to them?
Okay. Of course. Yep. I could send it digitally, or if you want to stop by and pick some up, we'd be happy to deliver.
Right. Just in case I forget, or even if you're out of state, she'll be glad to send it to you. No obligation. I'm assuming that So
yes.
So you mentioned vacant home are different than the current homes. Is the price different if it's a vacant versus so what are the steps if it's vacant? If it's not vacant, I'm staying there and it does need work.
Let's talk about cost for both of them. So if you're living in the property and it is occupied, usually what we like to do is bring in the supplies that we need to make the house kind of give it a certain look. Some houses are dated, so we might need to bring in new artwork, new rugs, pillows. And we usually tell our clients not to use them. We'll either leave some bags or bins behind. And we'd like to set the house up picture perfect for photo day and also for any major open houses. So it's ideal if they kind of leave things set up the way that they are until pictures are taken and they have their first big open house. After that, we tell them you can move it, put it in this bag. You know, we understand that you're still living here.
Right.
The cost for something like that, I think, is fairly inexpensive. You're looking anywhere between $1,500 to maybe $2,500. So if you're living, depending on what we need to bring, depending on how many bedrooms, you know, if you want every single room to have new bedding or new, you know, rugs and things like that, then it can get costly. But basic kind of areas where we're just doing a living room, dining room, kitchen, you know, maybe master bedroom, you're looking roughly between $1,500 to $2,500.
Okay.
For occupied. So when
Now,
we
what
move,
size? Yeah, what size home is that? Because I know in a few months back, actually in October, November, I sold a house, and I did partial staging. I didn't do it. One of the people that and the seller knew the stager, so we used their stager. There were already a dining room in there. There were sofas in there. There were beds in there. Even then, it cost me close to $4,000. This was a 4,000 square feet home. Well, about 3,600 square feet home, 2 stories. Cost me about that much in California. So is it 2 questions? One, how much does it differ as far as the size goes? And California versus Texas or Utah, their price is different, or, you know?
well, I think I could speak to California. I think that if you're looking at a house that's 4,000 square feet, I would guesstimate somewhere between 3 to 3,500 would be if you're doing, but again, it depends. Every circumstance is different, right?
Right.
Some of these bedrooms might not need dressers or need an accent chair or something like that. And depending on how much furniture we're bringing in, is that cost goes up. And then, you know, someone says, oh, you just have a living room and a dining room. And we get there and there's a formal living room and a formal dining room and a formal, you know, like, so if you have those formal rooms, those are adding to the cost as well. So depending on square footage. So you're right. If it's a bigger home with, again, 2, you know, living rooms, 2 dining rooms, additional bedrooms that you're doing, the price could go up significantly. But a standard home, I would say around 2,000 square feet, it should range, I would say, about $2,000.
Right. Okay. And then is that for like 30 days staging, or because I know that the last house that I told you about in Orange, they said 90 days. After 90 days, there'll be additional charge. Luckily in this market, everything sells, and, you know, but if it's like some of the custom homes, they take 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it takes 9 months, a $8 million home, $5 million home,
Price point.
$3 million home. So
is.
how does it affect at that point where it's going to take more than 90 days, you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we get that question quite a bit. So our contracts are actually for 60 days.
Okay.
So we do everything for 60 days. And maybe that's why it's a little less initially, because we do the 60-day. And then after that, there's usually a fee associated between, lately it's been about 500 a month, depending on how much.
So every month after that,
it's about 500. Yes.
Right, but in this market, if it's priced right, you know, like I just opened an escrow today, and that house was on the market a week and it sold.
Yeah,
So
congrats.
he didn't need 60 days, but I know some other homes, it's taking longer. But in this market, at least Southern California, I don't know about Utah or Texas or Montana, it'd be different. Florida, I know, is taking a long time to sell. The days on market in Southern California is, I would guess, because it changed in February. In January, it was about 38, 34 days. It might be lower right now. So
yeah.
no, yeah.
From what we've seen, very seldom do these houses stay on the market for 60 days.
They're selling, right?
They are selling, and especially if you have a good agent and it's staged and you're priced competitively, it will be gone in the first 2 weeks. Like I tell clients that all the time.
Right.
Very seldom, you know, do they try to reach for a little bit more, and sometimes price can hurt them, but it makes a big difference staging the house, and we see it. People fall in love with the way it looks and the way they feel in the house. So
right.
staging helps to
So I
create.
want to go back to that screen that we talked about. Let me go back to the screen. Let me see if I can share it again. And there's something I want to discuss again because it's important that, let me see.
Let me touch really quick because
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
we didn't talk about pricing for occupied. So the pricing
Okay,
for
right.
I'm sorry, for a vacant home. So pricing for a vacant home runs about, I would say, $600 to $700 per room that you're doing. Sometimes a little bit more if it's a formal dining room, formal living area. So
Mhm.
those houses tend to be between, 3,500 to, it could be 6 or 7,000 if it's a really big home. But
Right,
again, that
right.
you get that for 60 days, and most additional fees after that are about $500 a month.
Yeah, and that sounds reasonable because in a vacant home, you got to bring everything. You're
Yeah.
talking dressers.
Yes.
I was having coffee this morning. I was reading a magazine, NAR magazine, Realtor.com, and it had an article. I should bring it out. It's too late for me to go downstairs, but it showed 5 things about staging. And one of the most important thing they said about staging are those darn mirrors.
Oh,
So
yes.
what's up with the mirrors? Tell us about the mirror thing. That was new to me.
I think the mirrors just make the room look bigger,
Yeah.
right? No matter what space it is. We love to use mirrors in the entryway. We love to use mirrors in bedrooms. It looks pretty. It gives something to bounce off. It does. It just makes the room feel and look bigger.
Right, especially vacant homes where there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Bringing in mirrors, and it's more because you have to bring in everything: the beds, the sheets, the pillows, the
Yep.
rugs, the
There's a lot that goes
vases,
with it. There's
kitchen, and everything. So yeah,
And it's funny because sometimes we are working at the warehouse for sometimes 2 or 3 hours before we even get to the site because we're packing everything. We're
Mhm.
checking off our list to make sure we have everything. We're
Right.
looking to make sure we have all the artwork. Artwork is huge, and
Mhm.
all the details for every room. And then when we get to the property, it only takes about an hour to 2 to stage it with
Okay.
our team because we have a team of about 5 of us that work on a project. So
Oh,
the majority of the work happens initially before we even get to the property. So
right.
it does take a lot of time and
It
effort
does.
to
Right.
pick
Right.
out some of those details. Yeah.
Right. Right. So before we go to the slide that's on the screen, if I'm a seller and I'm thinking, why would I need Sylvia and she's going to charge me $2,500? You know, as a seller, what do I need to know that I may not know? First of all, I haven't sold any homes. I've been in my house for 20 years. It needs help. It's got a lot of stuff. I got 3 coffee machines. I got pets. I got cats.
Yeah.
My bathroom has 2 mats. One of them hasn't been washed. So what's the difference between
That's
bringing you in as an expert versus, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'll go to YouTube or
Yeah.
chat GPT and ask. So tell us the difference between going online and then talking to you.
Yeah, I think it's really like we know what we're doing. We are the experts. It would be really hard for you to sit and learn a recipe and find all the pieces and go searching for all the ingredients. And it's just a big task to take on. It's much easier to bring in a professional and let us do our job. We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for a living. We know what will make your home sell. And it's something to do with the way that the room is set up, right?
Mhm.
Or to maximize space. We want your space to look bigger. We want to showcase some areas. And we definitely know how to do that. So it saves time and stress because it's not a fun gig if you're DIYing it. It's not as easy as you think it's going to be.
Exactly.
We
Yeah,
and
it's just like people tell us, well, I don't need a realtor, I'll sell it. But here's the stat. In 2024, it used to be that almost 10% of the for sale by owners ended up selling their house, 90% listed with an agent. In 2024, here's the stats. This is from National Association of Realtors. Only 6% of the for sale by owners sold their homes. 94% ended up listing and paying commission to the realtors. So yes, selling a house, doing an open house, it's not easy. Let the experts do their thing. It's like there's a big what's happening online with TikTok and Instagram. When I have a headache, when I have a pain in the butt or pain in the leg, guess what we do? We go online,
yeah,
right? And say, hey, I've got a headache. What should I do? And first of all, 50% of the data is not accurate.
yeah,
So you can't go by that. And just because you read online or see a YouTube video doesn't mean you have to go with that.
yeah.
Follow an expert, go with an expert,
Exactly.
especially if it's a doctor, let alone staging. But this is how bad social media is right now, that just because you have the info doesn't mean it's correct.
Yes.
A lot of the influencers, and I'm going a little bit off topic, but I'm driving home a point. There's a medication and pharmacist who want to sell. They're using these influencers, right? And these viewers listen to the influencer no matter what, and they're buying the wrong drugs. And I'm talking prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And there's a big fiasco going on social media when it comes to medical news, but it trickles down to things like selling your home or staging your home. Hey, do the right thing. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like mirrors, but you better put mirrors even if you don't like it, because it's one of the most important things, right?
And you'd be surprised if there have been times where we've been in a jam and we just have to go to Target to get a mirror. It is so much more expensive
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
get
Who
a
would have thought? Yeah. Yeah.
Target than it is for us to get it wholesale. And that's my last driving point here is we have access to higher quality furniture and decor. And it's just easy for us to bring it all in and set it up versus having to buy each item individually. And you talked about statistics a little bit, so let's get into them. Like we have 85% of staged homes sell for 5 to 23% above asking. Like that's huge. When you think
That's
of the
huge.
cost, when you think of the cost of homes in California, you're talking at least $1 million, $1 million for a house. Maybe less if you're doing a condo or a townhouse, but let's
That's
take it.
$50,000 more, 50 grand.
So you're going to pay $2,500 to $5,000 to stage it, but you're going to get much more in return.
Absolutely. Yep.
Definitely worth it.
And any home in Orange County is $1 million today, right? I mean, a single family home today is $900 to $1 million, and a condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath is $700. So even in a condo, if you get, let's say, 4% more on a $700,000 condo, that's 28 grand.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? That takes care of the commissions to the agents that you sellers don't want to pay. Just kidding, So stage the home, you got your agent's commission taken care of. So
yeah,
hey, that's a new one. I should advertise that.
There you go. I like that.
There you go. Right. So now let me go back here. I want to read further down on what this staging says. One of the thing. Okay, it says here, how do I know which one to pick? Not sure. Hold on. Let me see here. Yeah, this is important. What are my staging options? And whether you're going with an expert or whether you're doing it on your own, let's look at this article. It says here, now that you see the value, let's think through your options. The most common is leaning on your agent for their expert advice. They know what buyers like because they're in showing all the time and hear the feedback firsthand. That expertise is crucial to getting your house market ready. Basic staging with any agent usually means they give you insight into how you should, number one, declutter and depersonalize by removing photos and personal items. Number two, arranging your furniture to improve the room's flow and make it feel bigger. And number three, add plants, move art, or rearrange other accessories. One of the key points I want to bring out here, Sylvia, is they mentioned that the most common is leaning on your agent. But the funny part is when the sellers tell me, hey, Mike, what do you recommend staging? And I'm supposed to be an expert, I call you guys.
Yeah.
So there's validity to that. Yes, we know the colors, we need the mirrors, get rid of all your this and that. But even then, I may know staging, but I call you guys or other agents call staging. Right. There's a lot of value that's proof right there.
Yeah. And here's the hard part too, is where I say some of our value comes in. And I truly believe this because you have a professional relationship with them, right? You don't want to come in and be the bad guy. So I always tell agents, let us come in and be the bad guy for you. Let us come in and tell them, you have too much right here. You need to clean all of this out. I love the phrase, less is more. I tell clients that almost every day. And then I tell them, start packing things up now. If you're planning on moving and it is in your plan and you're going to list your house, if it's listed and staged right, it's going to sell in 30 days. You're going to have to start packing. So you might as well start moving some of this out. I always say the garage is forgivable. So if anything needs to be stored anywhere, you can move it out into the garage. If you have an extra chair, sometimes I walk into a house and there's someone with this huge comfy chair out of place. I said, that's cool that you get to sit in that. But for the time being, when we're staging your house or when your house is listed, let's move that to the garage. So I feel like we can do the dirty work for you. We can come in and tell them what they're, why they're doing it. And 99% of the time, once we're done, everybody's happy. The seller's happy,
Right.
the agent's happy. Like it just looks a world of difference better.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And we've
It's
had some big
amazing. Yeah.
critics come back and say,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you made me do that." You know?
Right.
So I think originally we're the bad guys, but when we leave, they're very happy and pleased with what we've done.
Right, right. And the other thing that staging is important, not only that when they walk in, like you say, you're gonna know in first 10 seconds if you like the house or not. It's the light, it's the energy. You
Mhm.
know, I just opened escrow today and it was for rental property. So I kept telling my buyers, don't buy a house with a pool, don't buy a house with a pool. But when I sent him this property, he saw the pictures, right? He saw the pool pictures and he said, Mike, this is the house just from pictures. And he bought it. We just opened escrow today, 1.2 or something, right? So the question is, when it comes to staging, we know that when selling a house, just as staging is important, photography, videography,
Yep.
walking tours, Matterport, that's very, very important today.
Yes.
So how big does staging and decluttering and depersonalizing have an impact on sale? But first of all, in photo, video, because that's where your marketing starts.
Huge, huge. And we touched on that a little bit. Like
Mhm,
it makes all the difference. That is your first impression, what people say, that
mhm.
see the pictures online. That is how you're going to sell your home. That's how you're going to get people to walk in the door. So you have to put your best foot forward.
Right.
And I tell people sometimes, you know, when you walk into a model home and you see how beautiful it looks, you fall in love with that feeling.
Mhm.
You get ideas of how you can set it up. You're like, oh, if I get this house, I'm going to get a couch just like that. Or I'm going to, you know, so let us come in and get that visual statement for your clients. Let
Mhm.
us, you know, get you top dollar for your house.
Right.
So, and
Yep.
a lot of the times when we're done, like there have been several times, a lot where clients, are like, can we buy everything as is? Can we keep the furniture? Can we purchase it with the property? A lot of the time they do that with vacant homes because, you know, it is fairly new furniture. And sometimes we sell it all, sometimes we don't. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go one step further in this article, then we'll move on. It says here that they can help you decide if professional staging is worth the investment or if you can knock it out with their advice alone. And just so you know, there are some of the factors an agent will look at as to figure that out. Number one is market conditions. Right now, we're a hot market. The
Mhm.
second thing is the home's condition and then your budget. So is
Yes.
that a combination? What if the market is slow and I know it's going to take 3 months to sell, or do I even need to stage? Like if the market is hot right now, selling in 4 days, should I even stage it? So how would I go along with that, making a decision?
About a year and a half, 2 years ago, things were flying off the market. And I thought, oh no, we're going to be slow. And it was the complete opposite. We were busier than we ever were. And I think it was because the power of staging, the prices just kept going up. Yeah, you could have sold, but could you have sold at top dollar? Could you have pushed the envelope a little bit to get that price that you really wanted? And I
Right.
think with staging, you do. You can push a little bit to get the price that you want. There's a little bit of a bidding war when a lot of people
Right.
love the property. So I think staging definitely helps with that.
Right. Right. Okay. What about talking about the investments in staging? I mean, the cost breakdown, return on investment, we talked about that.
Mhm.
Who pays for that? Do you get paid up front? Do you get paid after close of escrow? Because these are important, because
Right.
if I have a rental property that's vacant and I stage it, I want to make sure that it comes out of escrow because I want the tax deduction. So take us through some of that.
So we do offer different scenarios. First of all, the cost of staging, it really depends on the agent and the commission. So sometimes, from what I've seen, if they're getting paid full commission, they're sometimes paying for the staging, or they're
Hmm.
sometimes giving a kind of like a ballpark. Okay, well, we'll give 2,000 towards staging. Anything past that, the seller is going to pay for. So I've seen it where, in all different scenarios, where the agent
Okay.
pays, where the seller pays, or where there's like a mix where they give them a budget of, we'll spend this much, you cover the rest. So
Right.
we've
Right.
seen a little bit of everything.
Okay.
What we expect is a 50% deposit at least
Hmm.
prior to staging. And then for the remainder 50% balance, they can pay at the close of escrow. There have
Okay.
been scenarios where we have a really great relationship with the agent and we've used the agent. We've been working with them for 2 or 3 years. And if they say, hey, for this deal, we need it to close at the end, then we'll set something up. And we're willing to work with our agents who have trusted us with their properties for several years. So we usually work something out if we need to, but traditionally we do like to get a balance of 50% up front, and then the rest of the balance can be paid through escrow.
Correct. Is that you in general? Is it pretty much standard everywhere, or just California, or what? I mean,
I tend to think, we're part of the real estate association, and we're on all the social trends with social media with other stagers in the area. A lot of people ask for payment up front just because, we're forking everything out up front.
I know,
it's
a lot of work.
A moving staff, a staging staff, we have our inventory that we're releasing. So a lot of people do take full payment up front, but a lot of people still do what we're doing. We're, partial payment up front, partial at the end.
Yeah, and I totally agree what you say. In fact, let me take you through a little timeline. When I sold my house in Orange and I staged, first of all, I emailed her, and then we had to make a time where she can go and meet the sellers. It took 2 or 3 days because my seller worked from home, so he didn't want to come home, and then they have grandkids in the afternoon. So first of all, it took us 2 days because there was a window they could come and see the house and give a consultation. Once that was done, we had to negotiate the price or whatever. I paid some of it. Like you said, I paid some of it. They paid some of it. Those are my past clients. I've sold 4 of their homes before. So I wanted to help them, but I also wanted to make enough money. We're in the business of making money, by the way, just in case you didn't know. We have bills, home bills, car bills, just like you do. So we ask for 2%, 3%, whatever. So we're just being fair. Then once that was established that it was going to take this many days, she came again and told us exactly what she's going to bring, what to take out, even though the seller said, hey, the dining room is there, the chairs were there, this and this were there. She said, okay, we love this, but take this out, take this, because it was old. Some of it had dents in there, or some of it had a bad color cover sheet or whatever. And when they came in, there were 5 people. They brought a truck. There were 5 people coming in. They cleaned everything. And then when we closed escrow, same thing happened. We wanted to close early. Seller wanted to move early. We had the termite tent going on, and before the close of day escrow, so we had to do it before the tenting came in. So there was a lot of timing involved, and she had to. The issue was she had to rent a truck, and then she had to have a staff of 5 and coordinate all that. So I can see the work involved. It's not just, hey, she's just a staging lady or whatever. It's like anything else. You call a contractor, you have to set up timing. So I totally understand that it's not just staging. There's a lot of steps involved.
Yes, there is. There's a lot of steps involved. And, it's hard when you're paying your staff ahead of time. Like they don't want to wait 3 months or 2 months to get paid, right? So it's just like everything else. We try to get everyone paid on time. So
Right. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, but if you have any questions, if you're watching live, comment below and Sylvia will answer, or I can answer. And if you're watching this as a recording, make a comment. I'll answer them if I can. If I don't have it, I'll have Sylvia answer it and get you an answer. So do comment. We love to have some comments there. So let's move on to the next thing is staging for different markets we talked about. How about staging for different types of homes? Meaning you have a condo, you have a regular home, you have an old, historic homes in Anaheim. You've seen those on Mill Street. And then you have luxury homes, which is a whole new animal, right? So take us through some of those scenarios where if I have a condo versus an historic home versus a luxury home, kind of some things they may want to know or not know,
So this is kind of the puzzle piecing for us. So we've done it all. We've done small condos, tiny studios where you're in the same area and it's just a living room, bedroom, and kitchen. We've done high-end beach homes in Newport on the water, 6,000 square feet. We've done it all. And I do believe that when you walk into a home, you get a feel and you understand. And part of that is for the stager or the designer to understand, okay, is this a mid-century feel? Is it shabby chic? Are we going traditional? Like, what is the mood of the house? What are the colors? What furniture do we have in stock? Because sometimes that, like what do we have left at the warehouse to use? So there's a lot of things to consider when going in to stage the house. But there's definitely a different feel when you're talking about luxury homes versus like selling that lifestyle, right? you have to make it look a certain way if you're doing a luxury home. So we use a lot of high-end furniture. We use grander pieces for first impressions when you walk in. We try to keep more of a neutral palette if it's high end and just use luxurious touches. The pillows are bigger, you know, the entertainment systems or the artwork that we use are bigger. Just making it look more grand if we're doing a high end home. So
Right.
we need to make it look turnkey, and we need to really put the emotional emphasis on that expensive look.
Right. Okay.
And
So
then we
how do
also,
you handle it if you have a house? Let's say you come to my house and it's semi-modern, it's not a luxury home, but it's kind of in between. And I have some things that are traditional, but when you're trying to sell it, you want to make it more contemporary.
yeah.
So how do you balance that? Hey, the market has changed. You know, this color was good then, but now it's not. So how do you kind of mix and match? Because I got this stuff and I don't want to move my dining table. You know, I'm not going to put it in the garage.
We run into
So,
this all the time, all the time. So 10, 15 years ago, it was browns and reds and, you know,
yep.
brown tones, mustardy tones, like all those colors. Now we've totally shifted where things are neutral and they're light and a lot of beige, cream, you know, and now it's
Mhm.
even beige, right? Gray with beige mixed together. So those are
Right.
all the popular feel, you know, colors that we're going into, lots of blues. So we try to do what we can.
Hmm.
Um, Painting, I think, is ideal. So next to staging, I think painting your house is huge. That would be a great investment for you if you're selling your house. But if you're not doing that, then there's other ways we can achieve that. So we bring in neutral rugs, light rugs. So no matter what color your walls are, we like to bring in light rugs just to brighten up the space a little bit. Artwork we bring in, very neutral. Mirrors we talked about, bring in
Right.
mirrors, you know, make the space look better. So we do have lots of tips and tricks up our sleeves to where if the house does look dated, then the challenge of our job is to make it not look dated. And how could we achieve that?
Right.
We
Right.
do that
Right.
by using some of these tools that I
Right.
mentioned.
Yeah. You mentioned painting, and to sell a house, one of the best thing you can do, one of the cheapest thing you can do, and one of the best return on investment is a paint job. It
Yes,
seems very expensive, but you know, spending $3, $4, $5,000 on a paint job can change the look and feel of your house, can change the odor of the house because we all have odor. We got pets, we got medications, we got
yep,
spicy food.
yeah,
You know, and paint will change all that. And I think that 4 or 5,000 investment, assuming a 2,000 square feet home in Southern California,
yeah,
you'll have a way better returns. I think the best return when it comes to staging and changing colors is your paint.
definitely.
Amazing return on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's like a no-brainer,
No
right? Like
brainer. Do it.
spend,
Yeah.
spend that money and it will modernize your home immediately. And even
Completely change it. Yeah.
especially if it's a light color like a beige or a white or you
Mhm.
know, our favorite color is Swiss coffee. So
Oh,
paint
okay.
one base color, if that's what it takes. Because nowadays too, a lot of people, you know, I have wallpaper in the background here. A lot of people are coming back to wallpaper as accents or in the bathrooms. But for the most part, even if you look at model homes right now, it is all neutral, one color,
Yep.
right? Keep it basic, keep it simple. Where before there was like an accent wall in each room, you know, we don't really do that anymore. That's not really what's popular in this.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about putting mirrors and rugs and things like that. So can you take us kind of briefly how you would do step by step when it comes to your living room and your common areas? Then we have your kitchen and dining areas, which is very important. And then we have, of course, bedrooms, and they're very important. People neglect bedrooms, but hey, a master bedroom, this is where I'm
Yeah.
going to spend my night. So, and then most important is people ignore the outside, the curb appeal,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the yard. So if you can just kind of touch on that, basically what, whether they're doing on their own or calling a stager, you know, just take us through that, you know.
Yes. So the curb appeal really sets the tone. It's important to have some fresh landscaping, a clean entryway, and we always bring a nice big black and white welcome mat. And I feel like that welcome mat with a clean slate in the front yard is huge. It kind of already sets the tone for what to expect when you walk in the house.
Mhm.
So once we do that, when you walk in the house, we start again with light rugs, light couches. We like to accessorize. If there's any color that we bring in, it's through our artwork, our pillows, our throws. So we do use a lot of blues. We use browns. We use grays. a lot of neutral colors to accessorize. And then our artwork, some of the colors come through for that too. Check out our website, check out our Instagram.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of our work, and a lot of the time when we
What's
say,
your Instagram? Can you type it in, or what's your Instagram? Let me post it.
I put it on.
If you can type it in, go ahead. So that way,
Sure, I'll do that right now.
because I'll type it wrong. So
No problem. I think let's figure out where to type. Oh, can I just chat with everyone here? Okay.
On the comment, you can just put it in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll stick it in there right now.
Yeah. And I've already have your website in our description. So if you're watching right now, or if you're watching a recording, and feel free to call her any question. There's no obligation. She'll answer any questions, budget wise, color wise. She's pretty much up to date on what's happening. Of course, she's in Orange County, so the colors may be different in Montana, but she'll be glad to refer you to you're there, right? I mean, so.
Yeah. Let's see. Putting the whole link in here so you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
And all right, there you go.
Okay, cool. Okay. It's in there. I think I see it. I'm not sure if I see it or not, but I'm sure I cannot see it because I'm live, I guess. But
oh, yeah, it's in there. And
okay.
If you just look up Stage to Sell CO.
Exactly, right.
Stage to Sell CO on Instagram.
Right.
You see our work there. And again, we tailor to every house. Every house is a little bit different. So we try to bring in elements that make that house special.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and something that we do that's really fun on our Instagram is we do something called Warehouse Wednesday, where every Wednesday we post a video, and it's a clip on how to help homeowners. It's just basic stuff that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done anything from the magic erasers. So like if you have scratches on your walls or on your floor, or even dirt on your furniture, wetting the magic eraser, you'd be surprised how much dirt and dust comes off the walls.
Really?
We've shown markers to, wood help wood floors to fix nicks and dents. We've done Bissell cleaners for your couch. So we've done a little bit of everything. Every Wednesday we have something new. So if you go back and look at some of our Warehouse Wednesdays, they're called, you'll get a lot of fun tips that you can use just around the house, even if you're not selling or buying. If you just want a fun tidbit on what things that we use on a day-to-day basis that might help you, you can definitely check that out.
Okay, cool. Okay. One of the things I want to go back to while we talked about the kitchen and the living room and the outside. When it comes to bathrooms, when I go to a hotel room or even a house, the first thing I look at is bathrooms. I don't cook, so kitchen, I want it to look good, but it doesn't really bother me. But the bathrooms, I always look at when I'm looking for my buyers.
Yes.
What do you do in the bathrooms that an average seller may not do or homeowner may not do? Take us there, because I think that's the most ignored part, but the bathrooms are very important.
Yes. And I believe we touched on paint, but another huge thing that I want to make sure that sellers know is get your house cleaned before you put it on the market. It is huge. Like sometimes we clean our own houses and we miss spots or we miss little things that our house cleaners, they know how to do their job, right? So I think getting your house cleaned before you're listing or doing your photos or open houses is huge. So just making sure those bathrooms are clean. It's really important. No one wants to see stray hair on the floor or, like different things on the sink or whatever it is. So I like to take everything out of the bathroom. So take trash cans out, take plungers out. I like to tell clients to have a little caddy, get it at the Dollar Tree or get it at Target, where you're putting all your shampoos and conditioners and scrubs. You're keeping that under the sink so that your bathroom looks sleek and clean and open. And so when you're showing it, you can bring that out if you need to use it to shower. And then when you're done, if you're showing it for the weekend or have an open house, put everything in that little caddy and just hide it away. Mats on the floor, I don't like for bathrooms. I think it looks, even in the kitchen, like I don't like to have mats anywhere else. So just any of those small mats, they just don't showcase very well in pictures. So I tend to tell people not to use any mats in your kitchen or your bathroom. They just look distracting to the eye in pictures.
Not only that, but when I have mats in our kitchen, and they're like a rubber mats, but you could trip on those. We know it because when we talk, we know how to step over it. But if I'm new in the house and taking video to send to my mom or doing a FaceTime, I may trip on it, and it has happened.
Yes.
And especially gals coming with high heels or other things. I mean, be careful on those. So it's also a safety issue. I'm assuming it is for
Yes.
me. Yeah.
No, it is. And they collect dirt and they're dirty. So you just don't want them around. They care, different things get stuck in it. So yeah, different things like that. You do want to avoid having those steps.
Okay. I want to share some more slides, and this is important. I'm a numbers guy, so this is really important to me.
Can I touch on one more thing before you get into
Go
that?
ahead. Yeah.
I know we talked about kitchens, but we didn't really get into any information. So every single time I walk into a kitchen when we're looking at a consultation, there is a knife block on the counter. And that is the number one thing I say when we walk into the kitchen. I don't like to see knives on the counter for nowadays a lot of reasons, but it's just one thing. It's kind of my pet peeve. So if you have a knife block on your kitchen counter, please make sure that that's removed. Again, if you're going to use it, put it in a cabinet, put it under the sink, put it somewhere else. You can have it in the kitchen, just not accessible on the counter.
Right. We used to have a knife block. We took it out, but those things we paid like $300. Wouldn't that add value? I mean, to me, it's like, hey, look at this guy. This seller has this knife at $300. Would it not add value?
I'm talking more about like the case that holds all the knives in it.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people have knives sitting on the counter.
On top of the counter.
Yes, in some sort of, not a butcher block, but more of like a knife set that's kind of sitting on the counter.
Better to hide it or put it in the drawer or something.
Better to hide it and put it in the drawer. Better to clear off your kitchen counters. And again, if you're going to be moving, pack some of the stuff that are in the cupboards. And so if you have a toaster oven, you have space for it. Like we all have toaster ovens. We all have, different, Vitamix machines or blenders that we use, but put those away when you're showing the house and when you're showcasing it so that it doesn't look so cluttered, and give yourself some room to be able to put those in some of your cabinets.
Especially for the day you take pictures. And then the first couple of weeks when you have open houses, and hopefully in the third week, your house is going to be sold. We're talking 2 or 3 weeks, it's not like 6 months. We're talking 2-3 weeks. And, if you have to have coffee, go to Starbucks. We'll give you a card, call me, I'll give you a card.
Yes.
I have an app.
And I tell people, I understand you're living here and I want you to be comfortable living here, but that's why I want you to make a little bit of room so that you can take things in and out without it being such an inconvenience.
Right. Okay. Anything else on your strategies with rooms and all that before we go on to the numbers? Because I want to talk about some numbers to drive the point of the importance of staging. So I wanted to bring that slide over, or the website. So
the last thing I'm going to say, the last things are probably the bedrooms. We like to use a lot of white linens with accents of pillows, but just like when you walk into a hotel room and you see a beautiful white bed that looks comfy and cozy, we like to do the same thing. Just, and I always tell people, imagine, again, you walk into a model home, you're going to fall in love with the way it looks and the way it feels. And that's what we try to demonstrate with staging.
Right. And one thing we don't want to forget, when you mentioned homes, every time I go to a new home, model homes, the windows are open, the curtains are open, there's lights coming in. So if you have those drapes and all that, don't show the drapes, close them, right? I mean, what's your suggestion on that?
Definitely. All the natural light that you can, unless, occasionally we'll have, this backs up to this funky building behind, or this, our neighbors are right here. Those I can kind of understand having a something sheer in front of, but ultimately your buyers are going to see that eventually. So hide it completely. But I agree. Open up all the windows, get as much natural light. And again, that's going to make your space look bigger. If all of those windows are open.
Exactly. Much bigger.
Makes your house look bigger. So
right. Okay.
Keep it all open.
Yep. And as far as in the backyard, if you have stuff, junk, that's part of staging. Of course, you want to take them out, your lawn mowers and, pipes or water hoses, manure, bags of manure or whatever, put them somewhere, or,
We talk about decluttering on the inside of the house. And I can't tell you how many times I tell clients to do the same on the outside. So many women love potted plants, and they have, butterflies and turtles and all these little trinkets that we see in the yard. Those are all beautiful, but they end up being distracting to the eye sometimes because someone's looking at all your trinkets and they're not looking at your yard or your house. They're focusing on the wrong thing. So I try to tell people as much as I can to remove a lot of those pots, remove a lot of your statues and trinkets and any additional just things that you have laying around.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to remove it anyways. Start clearing it out now.
Yep. It reminds me, last weekend I took my client, a different client, to a house in Anaheim. It was listed for $950, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, about 1,800 square feet. Really nice house.
That's
As soon
not
as you
bad.
go in the yard, as soon as you walk in the front, there's pots of plants, succulent plants, at least 5 or 10 of them, nicely arranged, right?
Yeah.
Then you go in the backyard and there's 50 pots in the back. She must have been a gardener or selling the succulent plants and all that. It looks so congested. But guess what it said in the MLS? These pots and plants are not included, but they're the showcase of the house. All I remember in that house is all those plants, at least 70 of them.
Yes, you're right.
If you're not selling them, get rid of them. Why are they the showcase?
I see that all the time.
Yep.
And people are really sensitive about certain things. So you really have to be careful with how you word. And we try to be very sensitive and accommodating and explaining to them why we're asking them to remove them,
Yep.
So I think if it's worded correctly and you explain to them as to why because they have an emotional connection to these plants, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they think they're beautiful, but we're like, you're taking up too much room and we want it to look bigger. And your sellers are going to be, your buyers are going to be distracted by all these popular plants.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It was the main attraction on the house. I mean, no matter what, the plants were in your face. Even in the kitchen, they had little things. Dining room had little things, little small pots, 4-inch pots, 6-inch pot, 12-inch pot. And they were not going with the house. So here you're highlighting all these plants and then you're saying, okay, this shirt is not available. And that's what you're highlighting everywhere. I mean, it was weird. But, the good thing is the market is hot. It sold overpriced. We did not make an offer because that's not the area that my buyer wanted. It's near State College and Lincoln, if you're familiar with the area.
Yeah.
Lincoln and State College, Anaheim. Real nice house. It sold over full price, but that's a market. So the plants did not help sell, but despite the market, despite that.
If they had it staged, it would have sold for more money.
Absolutely. If I was a listing agent, I would have taken out all the plants in the front and everything out. It was semi-staged. It was semi-staged, So anything else you want to mention before we go to the numbers? And
yeah, I want to talk about some common mistakes actually that homeowners make without professional staging. So number one is having your home over personalized. And the mistake is keeping too many personal pictures. Something that's bold decor. Like we staged a house where they wanted to keep all this artwork up that their, child had made. And it was just too unique and the colors didn't match. And so you're reflecting your taste versus, an audience of what the buyers want. So try to take out anything personalization that you can of your home. The second one is cluttering and overcrowding, which we just talked about. And that was a great example of the pots, but just even having too much furniture where it feels too busy in the house. So just try to declutter as much as you can. Removing excess furniture. The less furniture you have, the bigger it's going to feel. Taking out any knickknacks or unnecessary items are important there too. And then the last thing I'm going to say is maybe just poor furniture placement. Sometimes furniture is placed to where the flow of the house doesn't really make sense, right? If your sectional is facing the wrong way, or you're blocking a door where you first walk in and there's just a couch right in front of you, right? So just pushing those furnitures against the wall, making them float a certain way so that it creates cozy conversation areas is more important than just kind of blocking off areas and not having it, highly functional. So I have to say one more thing. Sorry. I'm going to add one more thing here. If they have dated fixtures and finishes in the house, I think next to paint, the second thing is getting rid of these old fixtures. Like sometimes you walk into these homes and they have the gold fixtures from like the 80s.
Right.
30 or 40 years old. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's like $150 to get a new fixture,
Right.
And it would update the home immediately. Yep. So that's my last thing that I would say. Quick fix is to change some of those old fixtures.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to go back to the point before you made about the old fixtures, like moving your furniture and sofas and all that. And you made a good point. But I'm in my house for 25 years. I don't know the difference, what creates it. So how would I find out, or how do I even know that? Like when you mentioned move your sofa this way or I have no idea what you're talking about because I never thought about it. See? Right. So how would they know about that?
Well, hopefully they have a good agent, and what they'll offer you is a staging consultation. So we come in and we tell you, like, you have this that looks really good, but if you move it this way, it'll make it flow better. Or, you have this couch that looks great, but these 2 chairs are in the way. Let's move those out.
Okay.
So we come in and do a walk and talk consultation is what we call it. You get an hour of our time. It's $250, but you get an hour of our time and expertise. So we will walk through every single room. We will have you take notes as we're going through the house so that you have an action plan to implement and you're ready to, eliminate the clutter. And hopefully we have strategized and we are getting your client to do the right thing.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And then if they don't use it, that's fine too. So do you do consultation where, hey, I want to change my house, the look and feel, but I don't want to hire you. So you can do that consultation.
Yeah, we could do that too. Yep.
Okay.
We'll tell you
because you're making me ideas and then
what colors we like for paint, certain things like that. We'll go over that as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay.
Shop, top pick items, things like that.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So let's go back to, I want to talk about some numbers. If anything else you want to share before I bring or...
I don't think so. I think we're good. I think we talked about most everything, but you touched a little bit about strong scents and odors. When we talked about the kitchen.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
And that's just something that's important too, right? We use our senses when we come in. So if you have dogs or if you have cats or if you are cooking with a strong odor, it's important to air out your house and do your due diligence. Like if you feel like you have spills on the floor or accidents or anything that needs to be cleaned, shampoo your carpets. There's nothing worse than walking into a house and getting that whiff of not a good smell.
Right.
So
I know.
just taking care of those things as well.
Yeah. Some of these smells, how would you remove it? Because some of these smells don't go away. I mean, what are some of your pointers to...
Some of it's deep cleaning the carpet. Some of it's deep cleaning your furniture. Getting a house cleaner in there. We talked about the importance of that. Using aerosol sprays, keeping your doors and windows open. If you have a whole house fan, sometimes running the fan, will clear out some of the cooking smells that you might have. So it really just depends on the smell. And, there's lots of, when our dog was little, it would urinate in the same section of our house and it drove us crazy. So we got a special spray that, taught him, it was to teach him not to go to the bathroom there. So there are a bunch of different types. So whatever problem that you're having, if you Google it, you will have an answer. There is an item. Right.
But some of these, sometimes when you list a house, and we've listed all kinds of homes, right? We've listed luxury homes that are 10 perfect, and there's what we call dogs. But there's some homes where there's pets, been there for a long time. No matter what you do, that smell's not going away. And the sellers don't want to change the flooring, right? Yeah. What do you do then? I mean, even if you carpet the shampoo, it's not going away. Or sometimes you go into homes and they do a lot of cooking, especially if it's very spicy or oily, fishy smell, spicy smell. It doesn't go away. So you have to paint, but the seller goes, I don't want to spend $5,000 painting or whatever,
But maybe
what are the options there?
Maybe that's where they come in and they use a cleaner instead. If it's just the kitchen that's really kind of smelly, then they can use, like we said, the magic erasers with a special cleaner, or maybe they're doing the floors with Pine Sol. Like there's so many things that could help. Smells. Yeah. Right. And again, sometimes we have to come in and be the bad guys and share that news with them. But we do have a very sensitive way of doing that. So
yeah. One of the things I do or insist on staging, that's my personal, is when I list a home, I do tell them to stage, and of course I help them pay, and depending on the price and the commissions, it's negotiable. But what I do for sure on all my listings, regardless of staging and regardless of how good they are, how bad they are, is the day before the photography, right? Usually the photography is Wednesday so that we can get it on Thursday, so we can put it in a multiple listing on Thursday, Friday, so it's out by the weekend, populated in all the websites. Is I must have them deep clean the house. I always call a professional cleaner. In California, it costs about $500. She comes in all day and deep cleans everything, including the lamps, the lights, the handles, the knobs, everything. And when you take pictures next day, the pictures come out great because I use a professional photographer. They use the lighting, they turn off or turn on the lights. Makes a big difference. Staging along with photography, you just earn 10 grand more on the house, on average. right? I mean, it's that
Worth the
powerful.
investment. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely worth the investment there.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree.
Right. So let's look at these numbers. Stage for success, and this just shows the power. We talked about staging. We talked about what to do, what the costs are, how easy it is, how
Mhm.
long it takes or whatever. But I'm going to talk about, and this is again from National Association of Realtors, so it's not my numbers.
Yeah.
It says here that 83% of the buyers agents say that staging makes it easier for buyers to visualize the property as their future home, right?
Yes.
How true is that? I mean, compared to you talking to others,
I mean, it's so true. So many of us, like people always tell me, how do you have an eye for that? Or how did you know to put that there?
right.
And it's all those things it's just a talent, right? I mean, I don't want to boast about it, but it's just,
Right.
I have an eye for it, right? So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, that's okay. Let us bring it to you, right? That's our job. That's why you're hiring us to
Exactly.
be
Yep.
that.
And then it says it that 44% of buyer's agent, and the reason they're asking the buyer's agent, because who's bringing the buyers? The buyer's agent.
Mhm.
44% of buyer's agents say that staging a home increased the dollar value offered. And we proved, according to Nor in the previous slide, that they get anywhere from 1 to 5% more. And this is coming directly from buyer's agent. So it is a fact that staging has a lot of value.
Yes.
And then moving on, the most commonly staged rooms when selling, 93% are living rooms, 84% kitchen, 78% master bedrooms.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Those common areas, the living room, dining room, surprised the dining room's not on there, but living room, dining room, kitchen are the top, they're no-brainers. You have to do those common areas. The master bedroom is a little bit less, but I mean, a lot of people want to visualize where they're going to be in. And those are the rooms, something we didn't talk about. Those are the rooms that potential buyers will stay the most in, right? They will
Right.
linger longer if the house is staged. So there's
Right.
statistics on if there's buyers coming in, they will stay in the property longer if the house is staged because they are admiring how it looks, how it feels. So those
Right.
are the
Right.
areas that you do want to have staged.
Right. One thing we did not talk about, and this slides brings that attention to me, is that you talked about the master bedroom, and of course, most master bedrooms, and people love those walk-in closets.
Mhm.
What do you do in the walk-in closets and regular closets? How important is that? Because people open those doors, they will open your closets.
They do, and we try not to do too much because we don't want to take away from how big they are, right? So we may hang a few things, we may put a few designer bags. If they're big enough to put an ottoman in, we'll put an ottoman in, but we really want those to showcase themselves. Turn on the
Right.
lights, look how big it is. Like it's
Right.
pretty much sells
But
itself.
as far as decluttering stuff, because sometimes, okay, you know what?
Oh,
Let's shove it in the closet.
yeah,
You don't want to do that because you still want the closet to look nice
yeah,
and declutter. Take out your old clothes. Don't make it too packed. If my closet is full of
yeah.
old shirts and old t-shirts, I mean, I can't even move the hangers. They're so tight.
Yeah.
I need to
If
get rid of it.
occupied, yes. If it's occupied, I would suggest decluttering it just so it doesn't look overwhelming, right? Because
Right.
someone is gonna, if someone's interested in buying your house, I tell people they're gonna open your cabinets, they're gonna look in your closets, they're gonna take a peek to see how much room there is to
Oh,
store
they're
their
gonna do it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do it when I go to open houses. I open up a closet. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to see how clean it is, or
put
if
it in
there's
a
any.
bin, put it in a bin and put it in the garage.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Moving down, further down, it says 53% of seller's agent, not the buyer's agent, say that staging a home decreases the amount of time a house spends on the market. This is very important to seller's agent because they don't want to be there 10
Yep.
weeks down the road selling the home and getting complaints from the seller. So
Yes.
this is huge. I think this is the most important thing about staging to me. Of course, the price, but number two is time, because
Yeah.
when we sell a home, the biggest concern or the biggest three important things to sellers is number one, how much you're going to get me, and number two, how fast you're going to sell it, and what is it going to cost me, right? Commission, staging, cleaning,
Yeah.
fixing, painting, whatever. So this is huge when it says it's reduce your time. I'd rather
Right.
sell my home in 1 week and have one open house and be done with it.
Yes. And we always say those offers come in right at the beginning, right? The longer the home stays on the market, it's
Yep.
kind of starts dwindling. And we always say it's better to stage a home than to take a price reduction. right? So it's better to stage
Exactly.
your home and spend the $3,000 to $5,000 now up front than to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, it's not selling, let's reduce it by 10,000.
Exactly. Right.
So
Right. And
do it
yep.
right from the beginning, get it staged, and it will sell fast.
Exactly. Right. And then the last point on this slide from NAR, it says 95% of agents recommend that sellers declutter their home before putting it on the market. So we haven't talked a lot about decluttering, but can you take us through what decluttering is even before you start? If I'm an agent, I tell my sellers to declutter before I call you over. So tell us some things about important thing about decluttering, because it seems like a big thing, but it's really not.
So this is for an occupied home. We have them
Correct.
declutter any extra accessories. Take anything that's personalized. Take any of the extra stuff in your kitchen down. Take it, just start packing some things now so that your house doesn't look as busy and distracting, right? So we want to take down your personal pictures, take down any little, trinkets that you might have on every counter. It's cute for you. And we know that you like, certain things out, but they become distracting when you're showing the house. So we go room by room when we do those consultations initially and just say, okay, there's too much stuff on the counter here. I want you to clear this off. There's too much stuff on the fireplace mantle. We just want one nice flower here and a few candles, there's too many shoes at your entryway. Like, let's put all those in a bin. Just as much as we can, clearing out and decluttering each room already sets you up for success.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the most important thing about decluttering and staging is creating the right space. And what's one of the most important thing about the price is your square footage. People
Yeah.
buy square footage. Okay, it's a 2,000 square feet home for $1 million versus 1,700 square feet home for $1 million. But when I go show a house or when a buyers come in the house, if it's cluttered and you got too much stuff, guess what? Your 2,000 square feet home looks like a 1,700 square feet home, and they're going to buy your house and they're going to buy your house. People buy space, correct? Am I right on that?
Yes, you're right. And they want to see the space. So they don't want to see a lot of clutter in it.
And the one way to do it is declutter number one and then rearrange, like you say.
Yes.
Now, just off the topic, what's the difference between staging and then feng shui? That's a whole new thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
briefly, if you can just, because I don't know.
Yeah. Feng shui is a totally different
Right.
aspect of design, right? You're talking about the way things face, the way your staircase faces, like your staircase shouldn't face the front door because the belief is your money's running out the front door. So feng shui is totally different
Totally
than
different.
so the way things are positioned for feng shui and what you should, certain things that you should have, water flowing, things like that. So it's a totally different
Right.
aspect than staging is.
Yeah,
So
and those things in feng shui, you cannot change it because it's structural, more structural.
Right.
Staging is more personalized item. So
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Accessorizing your home,
Yeah.
showcasing it to the best of
Right.
our ability. Yeah.
In fact, you're right about it. The house I just sold in Los Angeles, I opened escrow today. They were into feng shui in the sense that the door, Eastern countries, it has to face a certain way, east or south or north, and the stairs are very important. In my culture, I'm from India, and they say you should never buy a house. So when you open the door, the stairs are right there.
Yes.
But I've been here in America when I bought it 20 years. I was a student. My parents were not here. Guess what I did?
Price is right. Something, right? Yeah.
Price was right. That's the only house in Anaheim Hills I could afford. At that time, it was a $242,000. Cheapest house in Anaheim Hills. I always wanted to come to Anaheim Hills. I bought it. Couldn't afford it, but I pushed and shoved and down payment. Guess what? After I bought that house and the stairs are right in front, my luck was even better. So instead of D luck, I got a plus luck. My business improved, my life improved, finances improved. So the beliefs that my parents and grandparents had in India may not be working here, but for me, I still bought it, being a radical.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. So anyway, any last minute comments, Sylvia? I know you've given us a lot of information. There's a lot more details we can talk about, but we want to keep it basic today. But any last points that you want to tell them?
I think just simplify it. Like, staging is not that complicated. And if you simplify it, we have a program in place and a step-by-step process in place to where We try to make it as easy as we can. We're very flexible and we're understanding and we're sincere when we talk to clients. So I think consultations we have, call us to schedule that. If you wanted to do a one-on-one consultation with your clients, we could walk through their property. Other than that, the vacant stages are a piece of cake. You call us, we make an appointment, we set it up. You know, usually the only thing we ask for is a lockbox. Everything else is kind of taken care of on our end. 60 days, we just ask that you tell us a week or two before you're closing so that we can remove everything before, you know, the
Right.
house sells. And it's a fairly easy process. So I think sometimes people don't want to deal with the whole staging aspect of it, but we're very easy to work with and very accommodating. So give us a call. We'd be happy to help you.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop with 3 things or end with 3 things. Number 1, staging, if you hire somebody, for me, I don't have to lift a box or move a table. So that's a plus for me, right? I don't have to do anything, you know, bad back or whatever. So that's one thing. But most important, jokes aside, staging will get you more money. It'll sell faster. And if you're not selling, then calling Sylvia or somebody in your area, if you're out of state, you know the trend or they know the trend, what's happening in Frisco, Texas, or what's happening in Phoenix, Arizona. They know the trends, they know the color, they know the styles. So if you've been looking to change your look and feel of the house, call them. And if you're thinking about selling, it's a must that you call a stager. Your agent will help you. On that note, if you need an agent, let me know. I have a great agents network nationwide. I'll refer you to an agent, and that agent can refer you to a stager. So on that note, Sylvia, I really appreciate it. Your information, if somebody wants to contact, it's in the description. Her website's there. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for having us. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. Okay.
Bye.